hate this deck.
It's annoying.
This was horrible. Like, why would you play this?
What's up, everybody? This is Brian.
And I'm Logan. And this is Tops. And this is Bottoms. And we're Crush Cards. Happy Monday. Hi, my beautiful dandelions.
So today we are going to bring you our NECROFACE Banish deck profile. I don't even, just NECROFACE.banish.deck, whatever this is. We've been building this for about a couple weeks now. We've been trying to perfect it, and we really think that we've settled on something that's actually kind of playable. But before we get into the cards, we want to ask you guys to just go down and hit the subscribe button real quick and turn the notification bell on because it really does help the channel.
And while you're down there with all those fun things, feel free to check the description because we have lots of cool links, like the link to our Instagram, which is @CrushCardsYGO. We post stories every day, all sorts of nonsense, and it's just an easy way to keep in contact with us.
We respond to all your messages and comments too.
We also have a Discord that we started recently. It's a lot of fun, super wholesome, absolutely adorable. Feel free to go. We're in there all the time, hanging out, doing voice chats, and all sorts of fun stuff. And if you want to further help support the channel, we also have a Patreon that we started recently. Feel free to check out the benefits. It's absolutely amazing. And if you have any questions, just ask.
So a huge shout out we want to give to Tom Box from MST.TV. We're really new players, and we didn't actually know what a lot of these cards did, so he put up a deck profile when this card came off the ban list. It actually showcased what an older deck like this could do at full power. So Tom, huge shout out, buddy, if you're watching this. We absolutely love you. We wanted to try to build this deck a little bit more to our play style because I felt like in a lot of the typical NECROFACE Banish decks, there wasn't a generic win condition. So we did want to try to incorporate that. So we have our main deck, side deck, and extra deck that we're just going to get into right now.
And before we get into the deck profile, we just want to remind you guys that this is not a competitive deck profile. This is probably not even rogue. It's actually pretty darn casual at its best. This is a meme deck at its core. It is there for the cheese and nostalgia, and I wanted to forewarn you guys before we get into this. Let's get into this nonsense, shall we?
All right, starting off, we have our triple copies of
Ugly Baby Face.
NECROFACE. This is the only card in the deck that is not the super or the secret rare. We are unfortunately playing commons. As we said before, we didn't really know if this deck was going to do anything, so we didn't want to make the $200 investment in secret rare copies per copy. So $600 playset didn't really seem wise on our part. For any of you guys who don't know what this card does, if this card is normal summoned, shuffle all banished cards into the deck, and this card gains 100 attack for each card shuffled into the main deck by this effect. And then the real reason that you play this card is that if this card is banished, each player banishes 5 cards off the top of their deck, and that is face up. So if you banish another NECROFACE, you banish another 5 cards. So this is just like, if you manage to hit all 3 of these, you just banish 15 cards off of both players' deck, which once again does try to lead to the deck out. But this card is really cool, and one of the synergistic things that we really found is that this is a level 4. So as we go throughout the deck profile, just kind of keep that in mind, guys. We also play our generic triple Grenmanju. Everyone knows what this card does. This card just gains attack equal to the number of cards banished times 400. So this is one of your win conditions. However, it's not always going to be on your field, and it's not going to always guarantee you the win. So we wanted to try to incorporate other things. This is a really good way to just one-punch your opponent, but once again, incorporated other ways in the deck to still get that W. Playing double copies of Eater of Millions.
It's me.
Yeah,
this card. I eat everything.
This card is so good just because it is generic spot removal for any problematic monster. It says that once per turn at the start of the damage step, if this card battles an opponent's monster, you banish that monster face down. So non-targeting, it doesn't have to worry about like destruction. Yeah, like this card is really good, and its summoning condition is they can't be normal summoned or set, but it must first be special summoned by banishing 5 cards from your hand, field, or extra deck face down. So it does just contribute to your win condition of just banishing cards. And then we play double copies of Gizmek Orochi. Shout out to our buddy Carl from our locals for trading us these Europrint Gizmeks. Carl, we love you, buddy. Gizmek, just once again, one of those cards where it summons itself by banishing 8 cards face down, just contributes to your banishing, and then has a secondary effect where it's also able to pop a face-up monster on the field by banishing 3 cards from your extra deck face down. So this card is just so strong in this deck. We're playing our Kaiju package. We're playing double Jizakuru, double Thunder King, and then the 1 Dog Calgaron. The only reason that I chose to play these 5 and not the Interrupted Kaiju Slumber is because in this current meta right now, Eldritch is one of the biggest decks, and you're not really trying to Interrupted Kaiju Slumber your opponent's nothing, or your opponent's trap cards and put them in the graveyard, or your opponent's Eldritch. It literally makes no sense. So this is only for combo decks, and it's really good if you can just draw 2 Kaijus, especially with all the draw power that exists in this deck. You could just give your opponent one and special another one to your side of the field, or it just helps get rid of any problematic monster. Once again, with Eldritch, if you're able to just tribute their Eldritch and then put a Kaiju on their field, all their trap cards are kind of dead. So I really like these 5. I felt like the 6 were kind of bricky, and the Interrupted Kaiju Slumber, like, you just had too many bricks in your hand. So these 5 work really well, and the reason that we played these at 2 and then this one at 1 is because clearly we are playing the Inferno Tempest, and these cards are 3,300 and this is only 3,000. You want to deal that 3,000 damage, so if you're able to give these to your opponent, you still want to be able to inflict maximum damage to yourself to resolve your Inferno Tempest. So we are playing the triple copies of Battle Fader. First and foremost, this card is a dark, so it works with the Lure of Darkness. It's a level 1, so it works really well with cards in your extra deck, and this card's effect says that when your opponent's monster declares a direct attack, you can special summon this card from your hand and then end the battle phase. So it just really helps protect you and buy you an additional turn or 2. So yeah, Battle Fader is just a really good card to help you kind of stall for time. We play an additional card, which is kind of like Battle Fader, but it's Electromagnetic Turtle. The reason that we play Electromagnetic Turtle at 3 is not only is it a level 4, what if you guys know where this is going, but during your opponent's battle phase, you can just banish this card from your graveyard and then just end the battle phase right there. And that's a quick effect. So it's really, really good. Once again, help buy you time, help stall and make sure that you don't die so that you can get to your next turn and hopefully draw more cards and see your combo pieces so that you can just kill your opponent right then and there.
He's so cute.
He's really cute.
Turtle.
I wonder what's the SN stand for?
North and South, because they're poles.
Oh, maybe that's what it is. That's probably what it is.
It's definitely that.
Or just let us know in the comment section below. Maybe
No,
we're wrong.
it's definitely North and South. It's a magnet. They're polars. Oh my god. Poles, sorry.
We play the 1 copy of Giant Rex, once again, level 4, and it just specials itself whenever it's banished. You banish so many cards in this deck face up that he'll just trigger. Hopefully you have another level 4 on board, and that's it, it's game. So yeah, just the 1 Giant Rex because he specials himself. Moving into our spells, we play the triple copies of Inferno Tempest.
Oh, it's so ugly. Why is it like that?
Card is really hideous.
Oh, it feels bad. If it was like a super, it'd be cute. Sorry, I'm just going on a rarity rant, but like, God, it's ugly.
Yeah, it is not really that cute. But the reason that we play this card is because it says when you take 3,000 or more battle damage from 1 attack, you can activate this effect. Banish all monsters from each player's deck and graveyard. Or, well, it really says remove all cards from play, but that means banish in today's day and age. That's how you know this is a really old card. So what you're hoping to do, right? The whole point of this deck is that you want to summon something with like 0 attack and pray that you can give your opponent or that your opponent has something with 3,000 attack, and then you just attack into it. You take the 3k damage, but then this will banish everything in your deck. So if you banish all 3 NECROFACE, you've basically just decked your opponent out. It's probably best to say that this deck blinds second also. So once again, super easy. You draw 6 cards. I think this is a 44 card deck or a 43 card deck. So it's really easy to see what you need in this deck. Something that a lot of people probably disagree with, but we are only playing Soul Absorption at 2. Soul Absorption says that if a card is banished, gain 500 life points for each. You're not really trying to gain life points. I mean, it helps in the stall game and like in the late game, but I have honestly found that I have 2 of this card in my hand at all times. And yes, it stacks, and yes, you can gain 1,000 for each or 1,500 for each. However, with this card in your hand, it's like you would just rather see other things. And while you want to stall, you have so many other ways for you to stall in your deck that like having this as a brick, I would just rather have another card. So we're only playing this card at 2. And then on to our draw spells. Man, are there a lot. Playing triple Allure of Darkness, triple Pot of Desires, and double Pot of Extravagance.
Jesus, that's a lot of pots.
8 draw cards. But Lord of Darkness is really good because it allows you to banish a dark monster in your hand, and guess what? I mean, there it is. Do we have to say anything else? Pot of Desires just helps you draw 2 and helps add to your banish count. And the reason we're only playing Extravagance at 2 is because once you resolve this card, you're not allowed to draw anymore. So if you have any of these, like it's just, they do conflict, and I would rather see both of these in my hand as opposed to like this and anything else.
I would also argue you don't want to have 3 of these because for Eater of Millions and Gizmek, Orochimaru, you need your extra deck. So you don't want to go and banish 6 cards when you're going to need it for 2 other cards.
Yeah, and like Extravagance is really good, but I would argue that like these cards are definitely better. color. So I only play Extravagance at 2. I think it's really strong. And then for our stall engine, we are playing the double Mystic Mine, the 1 Terraforming, and then the 1 Demise of the Land. Everyone knows what these cards do. This just searches you this, and this just directly gets you this. You don't want to play more copies of Mystic Mine. As I said, a lot of these spells are kind of bricky, so I like playing this at 2 because you're really playing it at 4 anyways. When you go second, this just helps you kind of stall if you don't have what you need. In Demise of the Land, if you know that your opponent's going to be greedy, you could just set it and then get this on your opponent's turn. So once again, just really generic ways to stall to get to your combo pieces.
Whoa,
yeah,
Mystic Mine.
That's really it.
Yay.
And then we do play the 1 Foolish Burial. We are trying to get some of our cards in our graveyard, like our Gizmek, our Electromagnetic Turtle, and then an additional card to help with that. We do play the 1 Gold Sark. We would play this card at 3 if it was at 3, but this can just banish your Rex if you need to get a level 4 on board, or it can just banish your Necroface, and then you can just resolve the effect right then and there. So this card is really utility in this deck. And then onto our win condition, we play double copies of Double or Nothing. This card is typically the brick. However, you do play a bunch of cards in which banish, so if you want, you definitely want to resolve this, so you want to have at least 1 copy live in your deck. This is a 43 card deck, so a lot of banishing is okay. You typically will have 1 left in deck, and if you don't, that sucks, but this card is your win condition realistically on top of everything else. So let's get into the extra deck.
Woo.
We are on an Extravagance board of triple Salamangreat Almirage. This card is literally just 1 normal summon monster with 1,000 or less attack. This card really just helps you get your Electromagnetic Turtle into the graveyard, so it's really cool, and it also helps get some of your level 1s off the field. Same thing with our Relinquished Anima. This is a really good card going second. If your opponent is silly enough to place cards underneath the zones, you can just take them and yeah, play for free. So this card's really cool, and once again, helps get some of your level 1s off the field, and it does provide you with a 0 attack monster, just like Almirage, to attack into bigger monsters, deal that 3k damage, and then resolve your banishing effects.
This is basically like Kamikaze the deck.
Yeah,
like
it
basically
really is.
Just go down and blow everything up.
Our utility cards, we play the 1 Underclock Taker, the 1 Nightmare Cerberus, and the 1 Nightmare Phoenix. You don't really use your extra deck, as we said before, so these are just generic spot removal cards. This can help you deal damage if you really need to get in there and kill your opponent faster, but once again, you're banishing a lot of your extra deck, so these are just here in case you need them, I guess. And then, of course, as I said before, we are on the Extravagance package of triple Utopia and triple Utopia double. This is your main win condition. You play so many generic ways to get to level 4s that all you want to do is just get 2 of them on board, hopefully just 1-punch your opponent, and go to games 2 and 3. And that really wraps it up for the extra deck. It's super generic and super simple.
I mean, yeah, you can't rely on it too much. So.
Yeah. Onto the side deck. As I said before, this deck does blind second, so when we are forced to go first, we just side in triple Inspector Border. A lot of decks and a lot of players don't see this coming, so if you play a monster-reliant deck and a lot of effects that activate, this card literally could just win you the game, and then once again, later on, this is just a level 4, so you can just overlay later on and kill your opponent. So,
oh my god.
Inspector Border is so good going first.
Big brain.
For back row removal, we are playing double MST. This can be anything that you want. It can be Twin Twisters, it could be just like Cosmic Cyclone. Literally had these lying around in the Twisters or in other decks. And then the double copies of Hate Shrunade. You do not want to lose to back row, so having generic back row removal is always important. This just bounces all set cards back to the hand, and it just allows you to kill your opponent in 1 turn, and this just gets rid of everything. It doesn't negate, but it does get rid of them.
Or does it?
We are siding double copies of Interrupted Kaiju Slumber because you're not always going to go up against a combo deck, but when you do, this just helps you break boards so fast going second. So it's good to have the option, but you don't always need it main deck. Once again, when we're forced to go first, we are playing combo decks sometimes, and we don't have great ways to set up against combo decks, so we side in triple copies of Summon Limit. This shuts a lot of combo decks down, and a lot of combo decks don't really see this coming, so neither player can summon more than twice per turn.
And that includes negated summons.
Yep, so you strike Judgment. Not that this deck plays any of those, but this is such a great card. And honestly, just like, it's such a blowout against a lot of matchups.
I also just really like the card art for Summon Limit. I don't know, it's always been one of my favorites. It's like a dinosaur trying to poke his head, and he's like, meh. And he's just like, no.
And a little field gets like, nope.
I don't know. I just think it's cute.
We just want to make sure that all of our bases are covered, so the last 3 slots in your side deck can be anything for our graveyard reliant matchups. We're choosing to play Different Dimension Ground just because it banishes any monster that would be sent to the graveyard for that rest of the turn. That helps you out with all your banished cards, and it can shut a lot of graveyard reliant decks off. But once again, this can just be DD Crow. It's just really good to have like floodgatey cards to kind of stop your opponent from playing so that you can. And that is it for the side, main, and extra. Let's just kind of get into a test hand to show what this deck is capable of. All right, so we are going to shuffle on camera just to kind of showcase what this deck can do for you guys. But before we do that, we just want to draw your attention real fast to this beautiful, cute, adorable, new little field center that is...
my son.
Oh, yeah. So who designed that?
Me.
Whoa.
It was all me. I designed it.
If you guys stick around for tomorrow, we will have a gigantic mail opening that we had over the weekend with our brand new merch, some really cool projects that we worked on with some of our really close friends, some decks that we are trying to build, and maybe even some fan art.
And for those of you who are wondering, because I know someone's going to ask in the comments, where did you get this mat? We got it off eBay. Timestamp it here, folks. Logan said where the mat is from. Here it is.
Attack on Titan. So.
Season 4. Let's go.
So, with that being said, we're gonna ask our opponent to cut.
Look, it's me.
Oh god, that was a terrible
Oh
shuffle.
wow, win.
Look at how messed up these cards are. Alright, cool. We're gonna go second, so we're gonna get
oh my
1,
God, the turtle.
2, 3, 4,
Oh, for God's sake.
5, and then our 6th card is another Inferno Tempest. We'll extrav.
Alright, here, I'm just gonna
banish whatever.
Wow, okay, cool. You know what? I don't care. We're just gonna do those ones.
Top 6. Sick.
Cool.
We lost. Wow, 2 Toby doubles, 2 Tobias, and 2 Anima. Wow, it's almost like you stacked that, but okay.
I did it. I literally
whatever.
Just it.
Draw for 2. Hey, that's great. Straving into extrav. Super sweet, super fun, cool. All right, so what we're gonna do is just kind of demonstrate what this deck can do. So we're gonna pretend that our opponent has a monster because they went first, so they typically have monsters. So here you go, have a kaiju friend. And then because we want to keep this in hand because it is kind of a hand trap, we're just gonna normal summon our cute little electromagnetic turtle and proceed to the battle phase. We're gonna attack into this. We'll take the 3,300 damage, and then that will activate our great Inferno Tempest. So now what was going to happen, just pay close attention to this hand and this deck because we're just going to banish all the monsters in this deck. We're going to go 1. Cool. So this is what's left in our deck. Super awesome. So Logan just goes, what's the point of this? So the point is that 1, 2, 3, 4 cards are going to trigger. So this is our gigantic banished pile. So Giant Rex will now summon himself.
Woo!
And then NECROFACE 1, 2, and 3 will trigger, banishing 15 cards face up from our deck. So 1. Wow, that was weird. 4. 15. So we have 1 card left in our deck. So the really cool part about this, so even though we have 1 card left in our deck on resolution and this gigantic stack of banished cards, hopefully our opponent is playing some sort of a combo deck, or at least did something besides set 5 pass and was able to get more cards out of their deck first turn than we were. So when they go to draw for turn now, even though they have this big old body on field, it doesn't matter because they can't draw for turn, therefore they automatically lose the duel. That is the entire purpose of this deck. It's definitely not a meta deck, probably not even a rogue deck. It's just a really funny, like, cheeky deck that is fun to play sometimes. It is just really silly.
What do you do against a control deck that doesn't run any monsters? Like, you know, a paleo deck with 8 monsters, or like Eldlish with 2 monsters.
You lose. You lose.
Oh, okay.
You 100% lose.
That's really cool. So that's super viable.
Once again, it's really fun. NECROFACE did come off the ban list, and we just wanted to showcase our version of this deck and how silly this deck really is. So hope you guys enjoyed this profile. Hope you guys enjoyed the cheese that is the NECROFACE banished deck. And yeah, we will see you guys tomorrow for our mail opening.
Well, I'm still reeling back from all this because this was the weirdest thing I've ever watched in my life, and it's absolutely a dumpster fire. But you know what? That's fine. I mean, it's okay. But anyway, if you guys enjoyed this somehow, feel free to like, comment, subscribe. We'd really appreciate it. I swear we put up actually good profiles on this channel. Feel free to go check them out. There's a whole bunch of them, a whole playlist. We love you. You're great. I hope you don't hate us after this.
We love you guys. Don't forget to check out the Discord, the Instagram, and the Patreon if you want to further support us.
But we love you. You matter. Let us know what you think. Jesus.
Bye, guys. Bye.